All right, so we're diving into stroke recovery today.
Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and the article you send over, Effective Stroke Recovery with Physical Therapy, Improve Mobility Fast, by Dr. Raj Pusuluri, PT. DPT. It's a mouthful.
It is, but it's packed with insights.
It is. It really digs into what happens after a stroke and, how important physical therapy can be.
And it stresses how every stroke is different.
Yeah.
So, like, the journey back, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Not at all. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right? We're going beyond just the basics, those like stroke 101 things.
Right.
And uncovering those kind of aha moments about how individualized recovery really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all know the movement can be affected, right?
Yeah.
But this article, it goes deeper,
It does.
talking about how strokes can impact speech
Yeah,
and even thinking, which is, that's pretty profound stuff.
absolutely. And that's why early intervention with physical therapy is so crucial. It's not just about, getting back what's lost, but it's about preventing further complications down the line.
So it's like being proactive,
Exactly.
getting ahead of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine like not even being able to get dressed
Right.
because of muscle stiffness or
Yeah.
weakness, Early PT, it tackles those challenges right away.
Head on. And what's fascinating is the article, it also highlights the psychological benefits of starting physical therapy early.
Okay, now that is interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't have thought about that angle.
Yeah.
So what does it say about that?
It points out that, starting therapy early on, it can actually really boost a patient's confidence.
Oh, yeah.
You have to imagine going through such a traumatic experience,
Right.
being able to move even a little bit can be incredibly empowering, It shows them that recovery is possible.
Oh, so it's like alongside the physical progress,
Yes.
there's that mental and emotional boost too.
Uh,
Okay, I get it. But let's get a little practical here. Like, what does physical therapy actually involve when we're talking about stroke recovery?
It's so much more than just exercise.
Yeah.
It's about regaining this whole range of functions, things that we often take for granted,
Like what?
like strength,
Yeah.
balance, coordination.
Okay, so we're talking full body, full mind.
Absolutely.
What kind of specific techniques are we talking about here?
Well, the article digs into some really intriguing ones.
Okay.
There's motor skill retraining, which focuses on like those fine motor skills
Okay.
that we need for daily tasks.
Right.
Think about buttoning a shirt.
Yeah.
That can become a huge challenge after a stroke.
Yeah. I never really think about how many tiny little movements we make without even realizing it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And then there's balance training, which is crucial for preventing falls.
Oh, especially for people who are, relearning how to walk.
Absolutely. And then gait training is literally relearning how to walk step by step.
Oh, wow. So it's like reprogramming your body's autopilot in a way.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And, it's not just exercises. A physical therapist might use massage, joint mobilization, even assistive devices, walkers or canes to help patients regain independence.
So it really is highly personalized then.
Absolutely.
Tailored to each person,
For each individual.
their needs, their challenges.
Yes, very much so.
But let's be real, it's got to be tough, right? What kind of bumps in the road do people usually hit during recovery?
I think one of the biggest hurdles is fatigue.
Eh.
And we're not talking about, your average, I need a nap kind of tired.
Yeah.
This is a deep exhaustion that
Wow.
can make even the simplest tasks feel impossible.
So it's more than just physical tiredness.
Absolutely. It's the body working so hard to repair and recover.
Right.
The article talks about how physical therapists, they play a key role in managing this fatigue
Right.
by carefully pacing activities, choosing appropriate exercises.
So finding that sweet spot between pushing forward,
Yes,
but not overdoing it.
exactly. It's a delicate balance.
It makes sense, but it can't just be physically exhausting.
Right.
There's got to be an emotional toll as well, right?
Yeah.
Like facing those limitations and setbacks.
Absolutely. The article touches upon the frustration, the anxiety, even depression that can go hand in hand with stroke recovery.
Yeah.
Imagine struggling with tasks you used to do effortlessly.
Yeah.
It's natural to feel discouraged.
It is.
Yeah,
So
right.
how do people stay motivated when progress is slow? That's got to be tough.
The article stresses the importance of personalized plans and celebrating even the smallest victories.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
Every step forward counts.
absolutely. And this is where the support of family and caregivers becomes absolutely essential.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the role of therapists.
Right.
But how do families fit into this picture?
Right.
Are they more than just helpers around the house.
Oh, they're way more than that.
Okay.
The article really paints them as a crucial part of the recovery team.
I like that.
They provide that constant emotional support, they assist with home exercises,
Yeah.
and they help create that safe and encouraging environment.
And I bet that makes a huge difference, not just for the patient, but for the caregiver as well.
Oh, absolutely.
To feel equipped
Yeah.
to actively help their loved one through such a challenging time.
It's empowering for everyone involved.
Okay, so it's a team effort.
Absolutely.
And speaking of empowerment, the article emphasizes that recovery isn't just about those formal therapy sessions.
Right.
It's about lifestyle changes, too.
Absolutely.
So it's a holistic approach then,
Exactly.
encompassing everything from what you eat
Yeah.
to how you manage stress
Uh-huh.
to staying active at home.
Exactly. So the right foods can fuel recovery. Safe home exercises can help maintain that progress between those sessions.
Yeah.
And things like deep breathing can help manage stress, which is huge during recovery.
Wow. So much more to it than I initially thought.
It really is.
What's really inspiring is that the article includes a couple of success stories
Oh, yes.
to show that these principles actually work.
They do.
Oh, I love a good success story. So what kind of stories are we talking about here?
Well, there's Sarah, who regained her ability to walk. Andy returned to her beloved gardening.
Oh, wow.
And then there's John, who rebuilt his strength to the point where he actually joined a walking club.
Wow. Talk about taking charge of your health.
Absolutely inspiring stuff.
It really is amazing what could be accomplished with dedication and that right support system.
It really is.
It sounds like physical therapy isn't just about regaining physical function. It's about reclaiming your life after a stroke.
Couldn't agree more.
And, what's really sticking with me is how these success stories, they highlight the power of personalization in recovery.
Yes.
It's not a cookie-cutter approach, but a plan tailored to each person's needs and goals.
100%.
Absolutely. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what are your thoughts so far? What's resonating with you the most from this deep dive?
Honestly, it's that idea that physical therapy is so much more than just exercises. It's about addressing all those aspects of recovery. The physical, the emotional, even the psychological.
It's a whole person approach.
It really is.
I'm with you there. And those success stories, they really bring it all to life, don't they? They show that even though the road to recovery might be long,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth traveling.
It is, and it reminds us there's always hope,
Yeah.
even when faced with a challenge as significant as a stroke.
This has been a really eye-opening exploration of this first part of the article.
It really lays that groundwork for understanding just how complex stroke recovery is and that crucial role that physical therapy plays.
But we've only just scratched the surface. The article goes on to discuss some other fascinating aspects of recovery, like how therapy can address cognitive and speech challenges.
Oh, absolutely. And those can be just as impactful as the physical ones.
Right, and those are the areas we'll be diving into in part 2 of our deep dive.
We'll be back. Welcome back to our deep dive into stroke recovery.
In part 1, we really dug into that physical impact of strokes and how physical therapy helps tackle those challenges.
Right, like getting that strength back, balance, coordination.
But we only briefly touched on how a stroke can affect so much more than just your physical abilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Strokes can also affect cognitive function, which includes things like memory, attention,
Oh, wow.
even personality.
Really?
Problem solving, too.
And speech, too, right.
Exactly. Difficulties with speaking, understanding language, reading, writing, all possible after a stroke.
So that's a whole other layer of a recovery to consider.
It is.
It makes you realize how multifaceted this whole process really is.
It truly is. And
Yeah.
it highlights the importance of that comprehensive approach to stroke rehabilitation.
So how do therapies even begin to address these cognitive and speech challenges?
Right.
What do those therapies even look like?
Well, speech-language pathologists are key players here.
Okay.
They specialize in assessing and treating communication and swallowing disorders.
Makes sense. They'd be the experts there.
Right.
Can you give us some examples of what those therapies might look like?
Of course. So for speech difficulties, therapies might focus on strengthening the muscles involved in speaking,
Okay.
practicing articulation exercises, and using alternative communication methods,
That's interesting.
like picture boards or gestures.
So it's not about forcing traditional speech. It's about finding ways to communicate,
Exactly.
regardless of the challenge.
Exactly. And for cognitive challenges, therapists might use a variety of techniques, including memory exercises,
Okay.
problem-solving tasks, and strategies for improving attention and focus.
So I imagine it's similar to physical therapy in that it's all about tailoring the approach to the individual's specific needs.
You're absolutely right. It's about identifying those specific areas of difficulty and developing that personalized plan to address them.
And I'm guessing, just like with physical therapy, early intervention is crucial here too.
Absolutely. The sooner these therapies begin, the better the chances of regaining those lost skills and maximizing recovery.
Yeah, the brain really is amazing in how it can adapt.
It is. It really is.
It's incredible how the brain can adapt and rewire itself even after a stroke.
It truly is remarkable.
Yeah.
Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and reorganize itself, plays a significant role in stroke recovery.
So even if certain areas of the brain are damaged,
Right.
other areas can step in and take over those functions.
Exactly. And therapy helps facilitate that process
Okay.
by providing the stimulation and practice needed for the brain to relearn those skills.
That's incredible. It makes you realize how important it is to stay positive and engaged in the recovery process.
Absolutely.
Not just for the patient, but for those around them too.
You're right. It's
Yeah.
not always easy, but
Yeah.
maintaining that hopeful outlook and actively participating in therapy can make a world of difference.
And it's not just about formal therapy sessions, right?
Yeah.
What can stroke survivors and their families do at home to support cognitive and speech recovery?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
There are many things that can be done at home to create that supportive and stimulating environment.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, for speech practice, having conversations, reading aloud, playing word games can all be helpful.
Just simple things that we take for granted.
We do.
What about for cognitive function?
Engaging in mentally stimulating activities like puzzles, crosswords, brain training apps can be beneficial.
So keeping the brain active.
Yes,
Challenged.
exactly. And just as important as the activities themselves is that attitude and support provided by family and caregivers.
Right. Creating that positive and encouraging environment at home is key.
Absolutely. Patience, understanding, and positive reinforcement can go a long way in supporting recovery.
Yeah, it's so inspiring to think about the resilience of the human spirit
It is.
and the potential for recovery even after such a significant event like a stroke.
It is truly remarkable, and it highlights the incredible work that therapists, patients, and families do together to achieve those positive outcomes.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that stroke recovery is not just about addressing specific deficits.
Okay, so there's more to it than just regaining function.
There is.
So what else is there?
It's also about adapting to a new way of life.
That makes sense. A stroke can change so many aspects of someone's life, big and small.
Exactly. Things like returning to work or social activities, managing daily tasks, navigating relationships may all require adjustments.
So it's about finding ways to reintegrate back into life,
Yes,
but maybe in a slightly different way than before.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this is where occupational therapists come in.
So we've got physical therapists, speech-language pathologists, and occupational therapists involved in this process.
That's right. It's a truly collaborative effort.
Got it.
Occupational therapists focus on helping individuals regain independence in their daily lives.
So what kind of things might they help with? Paint me a picture.
They might assess and modify the home environment to make it safer and more accessible.
Okay.
Provide adaptive equipment to assist with tasks like dressing or cooking, and teach strategies for managing fatigue and conserving energy.
So they're addressing those practical aspects of living with the effects of a stroke.
Exactly. They help bridge that gap between therapy and real-life application,
Right.
empowering individuals to regain control and participate in the activities that matter most to them.
That can be incredibly empowering, I imagine, for stroke survivors
Yes.
to not just survive, but to truly live.
Absolutely. It's about helping them regain that sense of normalcy and purpose in their lives.
So we've talked about the different types of therapies involved in stroke recovery,
Right.
the importance of early intervention, the role of family and caregivers.
And how those support systems reach far beyond the walls of a hospital or therapist's office?
Absolutely. But what about the long-term outlook? What can people expect down the road?
Well, the recovery process, it can vary greatly from person to person. Some individuals may experience significant improvements within a few months, while others may continue to make progress for years to come.
So there's no set timeline for recovery.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And while some challenges may persist, it's important to remember that progress is always possible.
What factors influence the rate and extent of recovery? Like, what makes one person recover faster than another?
Many factors come into play, including the severity of the stroke, the areas of the brain affected,
Okay.
the individual's age and overall health,
Uh-huh.
and their access to quality rehabilitation services.
And of course, their dedication and motivation plays a role as well.
Absolutely. A positive attitude and active participation in therapy can make a significant difference in the long run.
It's inspiring to think about how much progress can be made with the right support and determination.
It is, and it underscores the importance of never giving up hope.
I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far.
We have.
What stands out to you the most from what we've discussed?
For me, it's the incredible complexity of the brain.
Yeah,
And its remarkable ability to heal and adapt.
I agree. It's not just about the brain itself, but also the collaborative efforts of therapists, patients, and families working together to achieve recovery.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a true testament to the power of human connection and resilience.
It is.
So before we wrap up part 2,
There's something else we need to cover.
I think it's important to acknowledge the emotional toll that a stroke can take on both survivors and their loved ones.
That's a really important point.
It is.
We focus mainly on the practical and therapeutic aspects,
Right.
but the emotional impact can't be overlooked.
Exactly. It's a life-changing event
Yeah.
that can bring up a lot of difficult emotions,
Oh, absolutely.
like fear, anxiety, frustration, even grief.
So how can we support the emotional well-being of stroke survivors and their families? What can we do to help them cope?
Well, first and foremost, it's about acknowledging and validating those feelings.
Okay.
It's okay to not be okay. Right.
Reminding them they're not alone in this.
Exactly. And encouraging open communication.
Yeah,
Creating a safe space for people to express their emotions without judgment.
absolutely. And connecting with support groups or seeking professional counseling can be incredibly beneficial.
Those are all great resources.
Yeah,
It's about remembering that emotional recovery is just as important as physical and cognitive recovery.
it's all interconnected.
It is.
Addressing the emotional impact can positively influence other aspects of the recovery process as well.
Well said.
Yeah.
So, as we conclude part 2 of our deep dive, we want to leave you with this thought. Stroke recovery is a multifaceted journey that involves not just the body and mind, but also the heart.
It really takes a village, doesn't it?
It does.
A village of support, expertise, and love.
And while the path may be long and winding, there is always hope.
Yeah,
And there are always resources available to support you along the way.
that's a really beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
So, as we move on to part 3, take some time to reflect on what we've discussed today.
Yeah, what resonates with you? What questions do you have? And what steps can you take to support your own well-being or the well-being of someone you love who has been affected by a stroke?
Welcome back. It's amazing how much ground we've covered in this deep dive into stroke recovery.
I know, right? We've gone from, understanding the different types of strokes and the impact they have to all the different therapies and that vital role of family and caregivers
Right.
and even lifestyle changes in the recovery process.
It's been a journey.
It really has.
We talked about challenges and triumphs and that need for a holistic approach,
Yeah.
not just looking at the physical, but the cognitive, speech, and emotional aspects of healing.
It's all connected.
Yeah. But as we wrap things up, I'm curious, what does the future hold for stroke rehabilitation? Are there any exciting advancements on the horizon? What's next in this field?
Absolutely. The field is constantly evolving.
Okay.
Researchers are working tirelessly to develop new therapies and technologies to improve outcomes for stroke survivors.
That's fantastic. Could you give us a glimpse into what some of these advancements might look like? What's got you excited?
Well, one area that's showing a lot of promise is the use of robotics and virtual reality in rehabilitation.
Robotics and virtual reality.
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right?
So how does that even work in therapy?
It's pretty incredible, actually. Robotic devices can assist with repetitive movements, which is so essential for strengthening muscles and improving coordination
Okay.
after a stroke.
So picture this, like a robotic arm guiding your arm through specific exercises, providing support, and even real-time feedback.
Exactly. It's like having a personal trainer for every movement.
Wow.
And then there's virtual reality,
Yeah.
which creates these immersive environments that simulate real-world scenarios.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of just doing exercises in a clinic, patients can practice everyday tasks like walking, cooking, even socializing.
Oh, wow. All within a safe and controlled virtual world.
That's amazing.
It is.
So not only can this technology make therapy more engaging, maybe more motivating,
Absolutely.
but it also provides valuable data
It does.
that therapists can use to track progress and fine-tune those treatment plans.
Exactly. It's like taking personalized therapy to a whole new level.
It is.
And speaking of personalization,
Yeah.
another exciting area of research is focusing on understanding the unique genetic and biological factors that influence recovery.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach,
Yeah.
we're moving toward treatments that are tailored to a person's specific needs.
Based on their genetic makeup.
Precisely. This field of personalized medicine is incredibly exciting.
It is.
It holds so much potential to lead to more targeted and effective therapies.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how much we're learning about the brain and its ability to heal.
It is.
What other advancements are researchers exploring?
Well, there's a growing interest in non-invasive brain stimulation techniques. Okay, now you've lost me. What does that even mean?
It might sound complicated, but it's actually quite simple. These techniques use targeted electrical or magnetic pulses to stimulate specific areas of the brain.
So we're talking about using technology to essentially rewire the brain after a stroke.
In a way, yes. By stimulating brain activity, these techniques can help promote neuroplasticity,
Right.
which, as we discussed earlier, is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself after injury.
It's mind-blowing to think about the possibilities.
It is.
It feels like we're on the cusp of some major breakthroughs in stroke rehabilitation.
We are.
Wow.
And while many of these advancements are still in the research phase, they hold immense promise for the future.
They do.
But amidst all this excitement about what's to come,
Yeah.
it's important to remember the fundamentals that underpin effective recovery.
You're right. We can't get so caught up in the future that we forget about the importance of what we already know works.
Exactly. Early intervention, personalized care plans, a supportive environment, and a positive mindset remain those cornerstones of stroke rehabilitation.
They do. And we can't forget the power of ongoing research.
Absolutely.
It's through continued exploration and innovation that we unlock even more potential for healing and recovery.
I agree. And research isn't just about developing new therapies and technologies.
Right.
It's also about understanding those lived experiences of stroke survivors and their families.
Oh, it's important.
So we can better support their needs and advocate for better care.
So it's about recognizing that behind all the science and technology, there are real people navigating real challenges.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening.
It has.
As we wrap up, what are your final thoughts on this whole journey of exploration?
Well, for me, it's the reaffirmation that stroke recovery is a journey
It is.
that requires patience, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in the possibility of progress.
I love that.
It's also a testament to the remarkable resilience of the human spirit and the profound impact of collaboration.
Doing
Therapists, patients, families, and researchers.
beautifully said. And I think it's important to remember that every stroke survivor's journey is unique.
It is.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach. And what works for one person may not work for another.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works best for each individual and
Sure.
creating that personalized path to recovery that honors their needs, their goals, their aspirations.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to bring our deep dive to a close.
I agree.
Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible exploration into the world of stroke recovery.
It's been my pleasure.
And to you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has provided you with valuable insights, sparked your curiosity, and perhaps even ignited a sense of hope.
Keep learning, keep exploring,
Absolutely.
and never underestimate the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting challenges.
Until next time, stay curious and stay well.